Candace Owens' assassination plot accusation divides MAGA, and MTG's resignation is bigger than it seems. Video by Philip DeFranco. Let's go ahead and dive into this one. MAGA, I mean, we've been saying this for months now. MAGA is falling apart. It's fallen apart ever since Charlie Kirk died. I mean, even before that, but since then, it's sped up quite a lot. Let's dive in.
Candace Owens is now claiming that the French president is going to kill her, and that has sparked concern, disbelief, and we're seeing this in the infighting on the right, with many on the right saying that she's using Charlie Kirk's death to become the ultimate grifter. Right? This latest chapter kicked off on Saturday with this post from Candace where she said
that's a bad picture. You could tell Philip doesn't like Candace.
2 days prior, she had spoken to a high-ranking official in the French government close to the president Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte. And she said that this official told her that the Macrons have, quote, executed upon and paid for my assassination, saying specifically that the green light was given to a small team, which she says includes at least one Israeli assassin. And Candace did not stop there. She also said that the official told her, quote, Charlie Kirk's assassin trained with the French Legion 13th Brigade with multi-state involvement. And she then closed out her initial statement saying that she isn't sure who to trust in the U.S. government.
So for sure, Candace is full on. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by Israel. Okay, got it.
Because this official claims that leaders knew of this plan to kill her. But then also with that, she promised to share, quote, definitively verifiable information to any U.S. official that reaches out to her. In the middle of this, she says that she looked into her source and that they have, quote, provided concrete proof that they are well placed within the French government apparatus. And so there is a lot to unpack just in that first tweet, but that's also not where her story ends. Because Candace, she then continued tweeting about this entire thing in the days since that first post. And so her next bombshell was that she said that the payments in question were made through the Club des Cent, which is a famous gastronomic society that was founded in 1912. Essentially, think a fancy dining club with 100 members who get together once a week for meals at the top restaurants in Paris. Or at least
gastronomic club. Never heard of that before.
At least I imagine it's that. There's also a cycling club that also shares the same name for people who conquered the 100 mountain passes. But anyway, right, Candace again highlighted the supposed Israel connection, saying that both a French female assassin as well as a male Israeli one were chosen to kill her. And she called this alleged plan for her murder, quote, joint state operations. And then from there, she goes on to talk more about the Charlie Kirk part of this whole thing. We're sharing a Google search result showing that members of the French military were training in the Marines in California for 3 weeks back in August, saying French foreign legionnaires were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. They were not the ones, but they were involved. And then yesterday, she posted that she contacted the U.S. federal government about this alleged plot against her and added that she is, quote, willing to provide full details as well as the name of the assassins and international accounts in France and Canada through which money was exchanged. Right? And she even put a number to that, saying this morning that Macron allegedly moved more than $1 million for the assassination.
Damn.
Now, with all this, let's say this is the first time you've ever heard of this situation, right? You're coming in on chapter 87. You might be wondering if this is even true. Why the hell would Macron be trying to assassinate this random right-wing political commentator, and why would this involve Israel? And well, Candace Owens, she has spent the last several months posting what she has called investigation after investigation that Brigitte Macron is secretly transgender. Plus, Candace has been very vocal in her criticism of Israel, though many have accused her of just using that as kind of a cover or a blanket for anti-Semitism. You know, this alleged assassination plot, it sparked a bunch of reactions online, everything from genuine concern for Candace's safety to accusations that she is using Charlie Kirk's name for clout and money. You've got people taking Candace entirely at her word, calling this the biggest story in the world right now and expressing serious concern for her safety. Even had people like comedian and commentator Dave Smith saying,
yeah, where's the proof, man? Where's the evidence of this shit?
They should know that taking out Candace Owens will turn all of us into Candace Owens. But then also you had another part of the internet saying this is an obvious sign that Candace Owens needs help mentally. Right? Arguing that something's clear.
Because if she really had rock hard evidence like that, she would just put it on Twitter. I mean, why not? Why not just put it on Twitter? Really expose them. It's because she's already in the middle of a defamation lawsuit and she doesn't want to pile up on top of that shit. Okay, Candace Owens has gone fully psycho, bro. She is a crazy person.
Off to have her fully believing and widely sharing what seems to be a far-fetched idea. There are people saying things like the most popular media production in the country is a woman talking herself into psychosis to thunderous applause, as well as nobody in this woman's life loves her enough to tell her to stop. I honestly feel kind of bad for her. But then also you had many others immediately dismissing this as an obvious grift, and that was coming from across the political spectrum. You know, you had some big names, including Representative Dan Crenshaw from Texas, going after Candace and Dave Smith by saying, we all know Candace has lost it, but don't forget about her co-conspirators. They're all in on the grift, begging for your engagement on social media. Right? And that is, you also had arguably Trump's most loyal foot soldier, Laura Loomer, calling Candace out, asking her to share the evidence that she claims to.
And she deleted, why did she delete the post? Why did she delete the post? Can you post the evidence so we can see it? I mean, it's not a crime. If somebody is conspiring to kill you and you actually have the kind of evidence that would give you the confidence to not only contact people in the government and bring this to their attention, which why would you do that if you believe the current administration is in some way connected to Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is something she has implied, right? Or at the very least, they're assisting with the cover up of it. So why would they help you? But even worse, why put it on social media? Why put it on social media? Unless you really feel like you got some rock solid evidence. And so post it. That way, if something does happen to you, without a shadow of a doubt, everybody will know who did it and why they did it. And so you don't give any evidence, but then even worse, you delete the post where you were talking about it after someone just asked you for evidence? Interesting.
Yeah. And then among this, you had some saying that she's doing this specifically to further capitalize on a pension and cash that come from her connection with Charlie Kirk. There were people saying things like, countries Candace Owens is accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Israel, Egypt, US, France. I wonder who's next. Yeah. Also saying it's beyond tacky that Candace Owens is now attempting to connect the very real and tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk to her crackpot Brigitte Macron series. As you can see from where she left off, it was pure gibberish, exactly where Candace is quickly returning, which will leave plenty embarrassed they ever took her seriously. And Candace Owens deciding
And you have to understand, these are some of the most powerful people, very well-connected people in the world. If you believe they're involved in this like weird, sexually deviant cabal, why do you think that they don't know how to fucking make that shit work even in court? You're going to lose this defamation case, whether or not you're right or wrong. And I don't believe she's right, to be real with you. But even if she is, I think she's still going to lose. And then on top of that, with all of this bullshit she's doing on the internet, she's going to lose so much credibility. She's already lost a lot of credibility, but they're going to make her look stupid. Don't ever forget Candace. See, this is the thing. Candace is rich as fuck now. She's married to a well-connected white man. She's a Roman Catholic. She's always around white people, and she's praying to her white Jesus, you know, because, you know, the Catholics and the Orthodox, they practice the iconography, so they literally have pictures of white Jesus up in their house to pray to, and white Mary and all that. She has convinced herself she's white. Candace, you're still a black woman in America, and you are going way too far.
Next to blame for the Charlie Kirk assassination, and, you know, it's her throwing darts at a pre-1990 map of the world, including the Soviet Union. You know, for now, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, both specifically with Candace Owens and this whole situation, as well as how it connects to the general commentary online about politics and the MAGA infighting that we've seen. Lots of messy moving pieces. Then, next up in the news, we've got to talk about the Marjorie Taylor Greene fallout. Because Greene, she represents Georgia, and she came into office as one of Trump's most diehard supporters. But then, as I covered and we talked about, over the past few months, she has increasingly defied Trump by opposing U.S. involvement in foreign conflicts, demanding the Epstein files, and even supporting the extension of health insurance subsidies at the center of the government shutdown. Right, and all of that, it led to Trump labeling her a traitor, withdrawing his support, and threatening to run a primary opponent in her district. And then you had Greene saying that she faced a wave of death threats aimed at her and her family from apparent supporters of the president. I mean, she even went on CNN and accepted that, you know, she hadn't spoken out against Trump's rhetoric in the past as fair criticism, and then she apologized.
I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country.
They're trying to put it back in the box. They're trying to put it back in the box, man. They want you to forget, oh, it was just, you know, a momentary lapse of judgment. We're not really as fucking bigoted and racist and hateful as we've been for the past 8 years. Getting even more, and really, it's not the past 8 years. It's how they've always been. It's just that it's been unraveling. It's been coming to the forefront more over the course of the last 8 years. And so, yeah, she wants you to believe, and she's not going to be the last. They want you to believe that this is something we all just need to put behind us, and we all kind of got a little crazy, didn't we? No, never forget. These people are some of the most vile, hateful, bigoted, racist people on the planet, bro. Never forget.
And all of that, to many, it seemed like she was in for the long fight, but then her resignation came in, and you had many shocked. Though then with that, you had Greene explaining her decision in a 10-minute video and 4-page statement that she posted online. And apparently her team was even shocked. One associate even saying that she didn't let her inner circle know about it until 20 minutes before the video went up. And in this, as far as what she had to say, she took aim at the country's political system as a whole, but she also had choice words for Trump and Republicans specifically.
I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and
but liberals, not liberals, conservatives, especially the ones on the far right, they love to talk about how, the left always eats itself. What do you call this? What do you call this then?
Stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much. And I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary.
She's scared she's going to lose. That's all this is. She's scared she's going to lose.
Against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better.
And then also with that beside Trump, you had Greene sharing specific criticism of House Speaker Mike Johnson and other Republicans for, quote, refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save American healthcare and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies.
Sure.
Then even with that, as far as many on the left, they've been unimpressed. It's not without reason. You got to keep in mind, Greene touched on bipartisan issues related to affordability, but she's also clearly established her credentials as a far-right politician. And with that, she accused Johnson of failing to bring legislation that she introduced to the House floor that she said reflected Trump's executive orders. And that, including bills to exclude non-citizens from the census, criminalize gender-affirming care, and eliminate H-1B visas.
Right.
So also with that, you had the likes of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slamming Greene, claiming she's carefully timing her departure just 1 to 2 days after her pension kicks in and arguing her actions have not backed up the rhetoric. For all her talk, she's still voting with them to gut healthcare. Yeah. You then also had Jasmine Crockett, who's fought with Greene in the past, blasting her on CNN.
You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have...
And she said such nasty things about Jasmine. Such nasty things about Jasmine.
What we're here for? We're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath
even
order. Now the chair recognizes Ms. Greene for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's?
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
My nigga.
Yeah, fuck this lady.
People like her who are constantly fanning the flames.
Jasmine always drip the fuck out, too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect the drip, bro. She always drip the fuck out.
Hate, and imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me.
Now that said, we've also seen some Republicans coming out in support of Greene. For example, you had Congresswoman Victoria Spartz of Indiana claiming, unfortunately, there's a lot of truth to what Marjorie had to say. I can't blame her for leaving this institution that has betrayed the American people. As well as Thomas Massie, who has regularly disagreed with Trump, saying, there's more honesty expressed in these 4 pages than most politicians will speak in a lifetime. And actually with that, we're now seeing reports that other GOP lawmakers may be planning
Only Republicans pat themselves on the back for, momentarily being sane.
follow Greene out the door. With one senior House Republican reportedly telling Punchbowl News, this entire White House team has treated all members like garbage, and adding, morale has never been lower, and finally claiming Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel and they will lose the majority before this term is ended. But then as far as Donald Trump himself, he celebrated Greene's resignation, again labeling her a traitor and claiming that she resigned because of plummeting poll numbers, saying that, she just didn't want to face a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement where she'd have no chance of winning. But then also amid the critique, he said, nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for her service to our country. And then with that, he later told NBC News that he'd like to see Greene resume her political career, which actually, on that note, Time magazine reported that allies of Greene said that she had considered running for president in 2028.
Yeah, I've heard about this. She wants to run for president in 2028. Listen, she will never be president of this country. Not gonna happen. You think a bunch of conservative right-wing white men are gonna listen to a woman? Please. And to make it even worse, a woman that looks like you. I mean, we've seen what Republican women, I did a whole video about it. Why do Republican women look like this? We see what you need to do when you're a woman to climb the ranks of the conservative leadership. Okay, you gotta be hot, or at least as hot as you can be. Where are the fake tits? Where are the lip fillers? The facelift. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. The first female president will, without a shadow of a doubt, come from the Democrat Party. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Here I have to mention that she quickly denied that in a post on social media, calling it a complete lie and adding, "I'm not running for president and never said I wanted to, and I've only laughed about it when anyone would mention it." You know, as far as what's actually next for Greene, we'll see, right? She's officially going to be out of office on January 5th. And in the short term, right, in addition to this being part of the growing divisions that we're seeing among Republicans, this is going to leave Republicans with an empty seat in the House until at least March, when a special election in Georgia to replace her is expected to be held. You know, for now, we're going to have to wait to see how this plays out. And I guess in the meantime, what are your thoughts on what is next for Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I think she'll probably be elected again to some kind of political office in the future, but she's going out with the garbage, bro. Her and everybody else who has been closely associated with Trump, they're gone. They're out. The Republicans, the conservatives, they're going to want all new, fresh faces who, from the very beginning, align with a more populist position, something that is more focused on the American people. And even though, yes, Marjorie has been one of Trump's loudest dissenters within recent history, I think it's a little too late. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to clean shop, clean house, come back with a whole new fucking team, dude. A whole new team. So I foresee 16 straight years, at least, of Democrats being in power. Naturally, the universe likes to ebb and flow. Republicans, conservatives, they're going to move more to the left over the course of those 16 years. Remember, the Republican Party, or rather the conservatives, at the time they were actually the Democrat Party, but the conservative side, they used to all be pro-slavery. And we can go down the list, right? Interracial marriage, women having the right to vote, you know what I'm saying? Civil rights, all of that. Now, many of the things that the conservatives fought against 10, 20, 60 years ago, they more or less are like in agreement with it. And I've said this multiple times, that conservatism is not actually grounded in anything. It is just about being opposed to progressivism. The progressive position of today is the conservative position of tomorrow. They're just the last to the party. That's their whole thing. And so 16 years from now, the Republican Party is probably going to have gay senators, right? Gay congressmen. But they're still going to be miles behind wherever the progressives will be at that point in time. I think the next major conservative wave will come after mass immigration into this country. And instead of focusing on white supremacy, the heart and soul of the conservative party will be xenophobia. Obviously, xenophobia is still very prevalent today in the conservative party, but I don't think it's like the heart and soul of it at this point in time. It's still just good old-fashioned racism. The Republican Party, they're telling you Mexicans are your problem. Muslims are your problem. Black people are your problem. The conservative party that takes over again in the future, they're going to be appealing to the Mexicans, appealing to the Muslims, appealing to the black people and say, this is your country. This is your country, and these immigrants, they're coming here and they're taking it from you. Because by then, America will be a majority brown country. White people will become a minority, I think, by 2050. Actually, the non-Hispanic white population will make up less than half of the U.S. population by the mid-century, around 2045. So yeah, 2045, 2050, a little bit sooner than 2050, which means what? Which means by the time this presidency is over, and then you do 2 back-to-back Democratic presidents in power, by the time that's done, it will be around 2045, 2050. Republicans won't be able to just use good old-fashioned racism because they don't have enough of a majority. I mean, they already have to struggle with the fact that half of the white people in this country, more or less, a large amount of the white people are Democrats. They are liberal. They are progressive. And as we continue to become more educated as a population, that will increase, because becoming smarter, becoming more informed, becoming more intelligent equals becoming more progressive. This is why universities are breeding grounds for progressivism. Why? Because they read books over there. And so good old-fashioned racism, I don't think, will be enough to even give them a chance to win again. And so they're going to use the same strategy we see being used in Europe right now. It's just going to be xenophobia. It's not about you being black or Mexican or Muslim or anything. It's about the fact that you're an American and they aren't. They're going to come here and take over your country. Because I imagine during this democratic run that is going to happen, if we can have another free and fair election, I think we are going to see naturalization of undocumented immigrants in this country at a scale that is unprecedented in this country. And so for a conservative party to ever have a shot at this shit again, that's what they're gonna have to rely upon. I'm no political expert, you know what I'm saying? That's just me looking at this shit and, you know what I'm saying, connecting dots. But hey, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, the MAGA movement, all of this shit is dead. I'm telling you. But you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.